Hey, everybody. So we are at the beginning of the second quarter of the year. And today we're talking about second quarter plans because it's really important to manage your business by looking ahead in sections of time. So if you've never done this before, this is a great opportunity to listen to this episode and actually work through some things. And even if you're listening to this replay and it's the third quarter or the fourth quarter or even the first quarter of the year, this is a great time to reflect. So stick around.
You're listening to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast.
Welcome to Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast. And now your host, Meliss-Ep.377.
All right, so we are talking about quarterly planning, and you could be listening to this podcast episode about any quarter that you are looking to plan. So let's talk about the benefits of planning out your business. First of all, we want to know what's going on in our business. We want to make sure that we're hitting the goals that we set out. And if you haven't set out any goals, that's the first place we need to start. But when we move throughout the year and we divide up our time into quarters, we're able to see if our timelines were realistic, if we're close to hitting our goals, or if we're way off, where we need to improve, and what we can be doing better. So when we're talking about the benefits of quarterly planning, this gives us a sense of urgency on what needs to be completed now so that we hit those deadlines in advance that we had set out to do. Also, knowing how much time we have left allows us to really focus on that specific time. So if we know that we have 3 weeks before the end of the quarter and we have this massive goal we haven't reached, now we know we have 3 weeks. We need to divide up whatever is left by 3, and then you can break that down even further into 7, or if you're working 5 days a week, by 5. And now you know what you have to do every single day so that you can hit these tiny little benchmarks and be ready to move the whole project forward. This is also a great opportunity for you to review as a whole company, if you have a team, where the growth is happening, where are the bottlenecks, what we need to change maybe this quarter that will affect next quarter, and make those necessary adjustments as you move forward throughout the year. These are the great benefits of your quarterly planning. Now, quarter obviously means it's just a fourth of the whole year. So in order to have an effective quarterly planning strategy, you really need to have an effective annual planning strategy, because you can't just plan for a quarter. A quarter is just a piece of the whole. So having that annual plan is really going to help you understand the overall mission, all of the objectives that the company is trying to reach. Now, if you are a one-woman show, you could still do this. I was doing all of my annual and quarterly planning by myself, journaling it out when I was starting. As I brought my team on, I started adding on other projects or splitting up the projects between different team members. And I still sat at the CEO level figuring out what needs to happen, what are our overall objectives. And this really provides the foundation for your goals and also the direction of where you want to go. If I need to be at this certain point in 4 quarters, 1 year from now, how do I break that down into smaller bite-sized pieces so I know we're hitting those goals at the end of this quarter and hitting the other goals at the end of the next quarter and hitting more goals at the end of the next quarter, and so on and so forth, so that you can actually hit your annual goals. Also, knowing what your goals are means that you can implement some strategy into how you're going to carry out those goals. And if you are the CEO of a team, even if it's just you and one VA, now you're able to empower everyone to move together seamlessly and as a team towards reaching a collective goal. It brings up the morale. It makes everyone understand this is the direction, this is my purpose. I understand how I fit in as a piece of this puzzle to the whole of the team. So when it comes to planning, we do this for a bunch of reasons. First, you need to know how to plan your business, because you're not going to reach your goals if you don't know how to plan for the goals. The goals are like dreams. They're like ideas, but we need to put action steps behind them. And knowing that you have a quarter to do this in allows us to see what's going to happen in the other 3 quarters of the year? And how are we going to execute these action steps within this quarter? It's also a great time to look at the goals you may have set in the last quarter and see, did I actually reach them? And are we on target for reaching other goals coming up for the overall annual goal? Looking back at Q2, quarter 2, is a very exciting and hopeful way to analyze your business, or whatever quarter you're in. When you're listening to this, every time I do quarterly planning, I look at where we were a year ago and compare the company's revenue from a year ago, the programs that I launched, the days that I launched them, how much engagement did I have then versus now, how many reach outs did I do, or how many people did I include in my network or grow my group in. And it's just a good way to look at the data and analyze. I actually learned this by working in Victoria's Secret for 6 years back in the day. And when the day started, we printed out a receipt on the receipt paper of all of the data stats from that specific day a year ago. And so we would say, oh, by 10 a.m., last year, we sold this many bras, this many panties, this many perfumes, and now we want to increase that by 10%. So if from the 10 a.m. hour to the 11 a.m. hour a year ago, we sold 3 bra and panty sets and 3 perfumes, then today from the 10 a.m. hour to the 11 a.m. hour, we want to sell maybe 4 or 5. We also looked at the revenue. And we could do it by hour, we could do it by the day, we could do it before lunchtime versus after lunchtime. How much money did we make in the store for these 3 hours a year ago? And now we want to increase that revenue by 10 or 15%. And I learned that then as a youngish, in air quotes, kid, and I incorporate that into my business now. So I want to go back and look at the data, and I want to see how many networking events did I attend? How many networking opportunities was I a part of? How many guest speaking events and engagements was I a part of then versus now? And try to increase that. So it's good to keep track of these numbers. You know I'm really big on data. And then you can look back when you're doing your quarterly planning. How did we do last year? Let's do that again, but let's increase it. Now, if you're new into business, obviously you don't have that data. So just start with your goals and create an action plan for each one of those goals so that next year you can go back and look at it. Also in your quarter, it's a great time to implement 1 to 2 big projects. Sometimes they're called rocks in your business, big rocks, or big milestones that you want to hit. And these are basically where you want to put your focus, in which areas. So you want to think about, what does the business need right now? And what are we going to focus on in this quarter to help the business achieve that? Now that you know what those milestones are, you now have a definition of success based off of what area you want to focus on. And now we can discuss what actions need to be met in order to achieve that definition of success. This is a great time to revisit your annual plan and break down those goals into small chunks. Maybe you have to move some things around. Something you thought you'd do by Q3 looks like you're not on track for that. So you might push that to Q4. So it's okay to readjust all the other quarters along the way while you're doing your quarterly planning so that you can really stay focused within the quarter and not feel anxious or nervous like, oh, we're never going to hit that stuff. If you feel you're just way off and you're not going to hit it, adjust. It's okay. Adjust the sails a little bit. Now you're going to be on track for whatever that new goal is, and we're going to create the action steps so that we have actual benchmarks and milestones of where we're going to hit things, which you can do. If you have the whole year, you can knock it down into quarters as bite-sized chunks. Now you look at the quarter and you can mark that down into 3 separate chunks, which are each month. And then you can look at the month and you can knock that down into 4 or 5 separate chunks, each one of them, which are by the week, and all the way down to the day. So you know which programs are launching when, what type of content you need to put out before those programs launch, where are you going to put your focus, what are you working to grow.
Hey coaches and healers, it's time to feel supported in your business. Head on over to our free community to get access to my best resources for free. I'm talking marketing tips, business strategy, mindset, support, feedback, and so much more. Join now at spiritualwomenentrepreneurs.com. See you there.
And if you have a team, these are the tasks that you now can say, I'm not good at that, or I don't want to do that, and I'm going to delegate those out. So now you can clearly let your team know what their responsibilities are, and you have a clear identity for success for them as well. So I'm just going to run through some questions that I want you to ask yourself during your quarterly planning. First, what did you accomplish? What did you improve on? And what can you be proud of? It's really important to celebrate your success. Big, small, doesn't matter. These wins are really important. So let's start with some positivity. Where did you go right? Let's start there. Now let's figure out, where could we have improved a little bit? What was missing a little bit? So you can ask yourself, what mistakes did I make? What do I want to do differently? Where did I not really hit the goals I was hoping to hit? Where do I need to improve? Or what was I wasting my time or energy on? And then see if there's any lessons that you learned. So if you lost a lot of money one month, then you can say, why is that? What lesson can I take from that? What opportunity can I take from that challenge? And let's bring it into the next quarter. And if it's, for example, I didn't have good contracts, well, maybe one of the goals this quarter is to create a good contract. So think about what went wrong and how we can improve it. But don't forget to think about what went right and how you can celebrate that experience and how that made you feel. Then I want you to look at your day-to-day actions. Do you have too much on your plate? How can we improve that? Either we need to take stuff off your plate because you're delegating, or maybe you've got your hands in too many things and we need to pare that down a little bit. So how does your day look and feel? And how much of your day can you logically and realistically fit business building into that? So make sure that you don't say, I'm going to make 8 hours worth of work for me every day, but I only have 4 hours to give, because you're never going to reach those goals. So I want you to think about, what are those goals? Make sure they're SMART goals, which, if you don't know, stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So make sure that your goals are SMART, and think about how you want to feel on a day-to-day basis. Do I want to feel relaxed? Do I want to feel like I'm hustling? And take those goals and make sure that they fit into your lifestyle. And then you think about, what are the major projects that I want to accomplish by the end of this quarter? Doing your quarterly planning is going to hold you accountable. Holding yourself accountable is the way you move your business forward. It is a discipline. You've got to show up every day. So if that means you need to use a calendar, or you need to use a planner, or you need to set up yourself for success with rewards, like I'll get my nails done if I do blah, 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 or I'll go on a vacation if I do blah, 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 or I get to take the day off if I reach blah, blah, blah goal. Maybe you play a little mind game with yourself. So you set a timer and you say, if I can finish all this by the end of the timer, then something amazing happens. I want you to think about what obstacles are standing in your way. And instead of thinking of them as challenges that you can't overcome, I want you to think of them as opportunities that make you a stronger business owner. You're learning lessons every single day. All of the failures that you have up till now make you who you are, and they make you better at where you want to be and who you want to become. So think of those, maybe write them down in a journal. And of course, hold yourself accountable by either getting an accountability buddy or hiring a coach to help you get there. Okay, so that is all of the advice I have for you right now about quarterly planning. It is the beginning of your quarter. It's a great time to start doing that and dive in deep. It will give you so much clarity that by the end of next quarter, you're going to think, how did I not do this before? I hope this helps, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Marketing Tips with Meliss podcast at www.marketingtipswithmeliss.com.
Oh, wait, before you go, I've got a special invitation for you, so listen up. Join thousands of spiritual women, entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and business owners in a cozy community to learn effective and aligned strategies to grow and scale your business through organic marketing and so much more. I'm inviting you to join my free community called the Spiritual Women Entrepreneurs to lift one another up in business, spirituality, finances, and emotional support. Visit spiritualwomenentrepreneurs.com. See you on the inside.